Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Traders Summit, and I have Mr. Richard Matthews from One.io. He is joining us today, and let me bring him in right now. Richard, good to see you.
Good to see you as always.
Hey,
How you doing?
it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for meeting with us here on Traders Summit. Whoops, I just hit my microphone. I wanted to ask you and talk to you a little bit about the dollar. We're coming into month quarter end. Dollar's been pretty well bid following the Fed. Is there anything out of the Fed that jumped out at you, or why is the dollar rallying? Why did we get an immediate sell-off and then a reversal in the dollar? Do you have any thoughts on the Fed, FOMC, Jay Powell? Go with that.
I thought the Fed was really interesting. It didn't deliver what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be much more hawkish than it was, and it is actually very gently hawkish, which I suspect when you look at the FOMC or the Fed in comparison to the Bank of England, the ECB and the Bank of Japan, they're probably the most hawkish. I know that Japan raised rates, but 10 basis points is a raising of an eyebrow, as Roger Moore would do, as opposed to a proper rate hike. I thought that Jay Powell's language changed. I think I just get the impression he wants to cut. He's looking for an excuse to cut. Now,
so how is he going to find an excuse to cut? I mean, you got inflation that's sticky. You've got the economy is strong-ish.
Yeah.
You're not seeing any weakness in the labor market. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of slack out there. What's the excuse?
Yeah. I think the economy is going gangbusters. I think it's really, really good. You got some figures out on Friday. You got the deflator out on Friday. Then you've got CPI jolts in the next couple of weeks, which I suspect are going to be strong. I think he wants to cut. I'm going to be controversial here. I don't think he wants to see Trump re-elected. I think he's a Biden man.
But he was appointed. He was appointed by President Trump.
No, but what did Trump do to him after he appointed him? He just lambasted him for 2 years till he lost power. And I think Jay Powell's too old for all of that. I want a nice, easy life. I'm happy with Uncle Joe.
So do you think that the Fed is going to become political?
That's an awful statement to say. I think that he'll have one eye on the ballot box. I think that there is, and I've talked about this to 2 or 3 people, there's a chance that they move their target rate of inflation to a target range, as opposed to having 2% at target, to have a range of 2 to 3%. That gives him the scope to cut. I think he's also talking quite dovishly, because there's an awful lot of issuance to sell, and rates are going to drop. Buy your stock now. Buy your stock now. I was reading somewhere like the deficit increases by $1 trillion every 100 days. I mean, it's just like
absurd. That's absurd, right?
Absolutely absurd. So I just think that there's 2 or 3 reasons. Not one reason in particular. I think there's 2 or 3 little reasons that you can start putting together a picture where he goes early. Whether he beats the Bank of England and the ECB, I'm not sure. Some people are talking June, maybe, because once he starts cutting, he's in a rate cutting cycle, isn't he? He can then carry on into the election, and the market knows it's coming. It's actually just a gesture that we cut by 0.25. Well, everyone knows that's going to happen, so it's like, get it over and done with. I think there's a few reasons for him to cut. And hands up, I was wrong. I thought they were going to hike next.
Well,
so,
I think you are you're first of all, you are cutting yourself short there, because the Fed's raised rates. They haven't done anything yet. And, even when everybody's like, there's going to be 6 rate cuts in 2024, you're like, I don't believe that. So, you could say that you're wrong, but I don't know. I would say the first, several months of this year, you've been spot on. Now, it's interesting to hear that you have changed your opinion that the Fed may not hike; they might actually cut now. So that's an interesting point of view that you have nowadays. So what is that going to do to stocks? What's that going to do to the dollar?
Off to the races with the stocks.
Aren't we already off to the races?
Yeah, the S&P won't sit down. It just go. I was asked today what the next 200 points were, and I said it's 100 up and 100 back down. And that was, turned out not the right answer. I'd probably call the next 200 points up. It's just amazing to me. But I think that once you get the cut, that actually they might just perk up and then start. It's by the rumor itself, fact could be in there. You're coming into earnings season, aren't you, as well? So I think that you might face a little bit of a sticky time there. But overall, I think you buy them. Trump's not going to hurt stocks, and nor is Biden. I think that it's it looks strong. Things I would worry about with equities is geopolitics, but again, what's going to happen there to disrupt the stock market?
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you, since you've been you've had me put my tinfoil hat on about Russia. I don't want to go there just yet. I do want to ask you about the UK. You'd been pretty bearish on sterling, not for any other reason than just some of the political risks that are surrounding the UK. Where do we stand there? And because I will admit that the sterling looks a little weak at this point. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
I got a really funny reason for saying this. My wife's been trying to get a bill to change the law on animals to go through Parliament for 16 years, right? And it has to have a certain number of readings in Parliament. And it's in Parliament at the moment, and it's had 2 out of the 3 readings that it needs. And I keep saying, we're going to get an election. It's going to get thrown out. You won't get your bill. So she said, no. There's not going to be an election until the end of the year. And I've just got this funny feeling she's going to be really disappointed. The Conservative Party, I can't think of a nice way to say it. They're just a shit show. I think we've got Easter coming up. MPs will go back to their constituencies and they're going to be told, look for another job. Conservative MPs, look for another job. They may well come back. I've said this before. I think Sunak won't last. I think they may come back. I understand he's 2 letters short of having a leadership challenge and being thrown out. It's not many to get through. If he gets thrown out, there's no way they can have another prime minister unelected. So we'll have to go to the country. Labour will romp home, absolutely romp home. I'm old. I've always thought the Labour Party is bad for sterling because they're spend on all sorts of great things. I'm sure they think. Inherently, I think it would be bad for sterling. However, the counter argument is you might see some stability, but I'm not convinced. There's a very hardcore left-wing element in the UK Labour Party who are very, very quiet. Once they get elected, I think that might change. So I'm getting a bit bearish of sterling.
Okay, all right. Well, let me put the tinfoil hat on and let's talk about the horrendous situation that in Russia, the attack at the Opera House. Do you think there's going to be any repercussions there? And what are your thoughts regarding that? And could it affect the markets? I mean, so far, the markets have obviously they don't care about anything that doesn't affect them directly. But how do you feel there?
I don't know. You get accused of conspiracy theories, like the guy who was navigating the boat in Baltimore was an ISIS agent. He's steered the boat into the bridge. I had a meeting with a friend of mine yesterday who is very pro-Russia, and he sat there and said, since when did ISIS throw their guns away? Since when did an ISIS fighter surrender? They go in and they kill until they die. Why were they heading towards Ukraine, not towards a Muslim countries? Why did they accept such a small amount of money? He argued a good case that they were Ukrainian as opposed to ISIS, that they're mercenaries in Ukraine. Why did America know? Why did America tip off Russia? Well, because America occasionally are pretty good guys. That's why they did it. I don't know. I mean, there were some odd things about that, I've got to say. I think that he will react. I can't imagine that he won't react. I think he'll really hammer into Ukraine. And I don't know whether you saw it over there, that there was a drone or a missile went into Polish airspace for 39 seconds.
Oh, no.
Which the Poles shot down. How long? What happens if they miss that drone and it hits Warsaw? Or you're getting really, really close to an accident happening, I think, and that's my worry on geopolitical risk. It is a proxy, I think, and I'm prepared to be told I'm stupid. I actually think it's a proxy war. I think NATO's in their all but name. I'm sure that we've got boots on the ground. I wouldn't be surprised if America had boots on the ground in Ukraine as special advisors. I think it's very, very close to getting out of hand, and it is just a mistake on a missile or a drone or a computer goes wrong, and I think there could be a really, really unpleasant. What happens then? You buy the dollar, I guess. You buy gold. You buy Bitcoin. Do you buy equities? How much of the S&P is made up of defense stocks?
We could say rotation, right?
Yeah.
And you took the question from me because I was going to ask, where do we go? What's the best place to be trading right now when the market's grinding higher? And the dollar is surprisingly acting a lot better than you would think.
Yeah, I think some of the big boys are getting out of the market. Actually, you hear just so and so selling, CTAs are selling, etc. So it may be a little bit toppish. I think gold's been interesting. Has been popping up. My old favorite Bitcoin now got. I'm just going to read this. It's got 36 billion all-time high on the futures market, the CME. We've got 11.9 billion open interest there now, so I think there's some interest there. I'd look for something really weird and wondrous like Bitcoin, gold. I suppose the dollar's always the go-to. I'm not convinced about that. I'm not convinced about buying the yen as a safe haven, actually. I'd go left field.
Left field. Well, left field, you might be buying Swiss francs. So
yeah, bit close to Russia though.
Yeah, that's right.
That's an awful thing to say. Sorry, please forgive me, my friends in Switzerland.
Well, Richard, it's always nice to catch up with you and to get your thoughts on the Fed. And I've noted your gears have shifted a little bit on the Fed. So I think I found my title for today's video. If you guys and gals like what you hear from Richard, make sure you give him a thumbs up. And what's the best way for us to follow your work?
You can follow me on Twitter, which is @DickieMatthews, and the last the S is a 5, or @1 on Twitter. LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm out and about, but mostly on LinkedIn quite a lot.
All right. Well, it's like I said, it's great to catch up with you, and I'm glad we got to do it this week. We try to do it every week. Some things pop up every once in a while, but until the next video, thank you so much for joining us today, Richard Matthews. I always appreciate it.
And a happy Easter, and have a good weekend.
Happy Easter to you as well.
Cheers out. Bye-bye.
Hey traders, Blake Morrow here. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also click the bell notifications so you do not miss any of our market-related trading analysis from some of the leading industry experts. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in the next video.